All right, so what up, though? Um, the name of this presentation is entitled Focus Harder. All right, so this video is going to be short and to the point, but I know it will be impactful for some people. All right, so the reason I decided to make this video is because too many of us aren't focusing hard enough on doing what's necessary. And what I mean by that is too many folks, too many men, too many fathers have been booking calls, to speak with me who are already in a desperate situation. Okay. I mean, I've spoken with men who have had all of their money seized and are now broke and in a desperate situation and booked the call with their last dollar, hoping that I was going to have, I guess a Hail Mary miracle for them. I've spoken with men who just got bailed out of jail because they were picked up on a warrant for child support and had to borrow the money to book a call to speak with me, hoping that, you know, I was going to have a quick, fast, easy remedy for them. I've even spoken with someone's girlfriend and mother who booked a call for a father who was locked up, on child support. Okay. Listen, I need y'all to focus harder. Okay. Because harder focus will keep you out of those situations. When you focus harder, you find success. Here's what I mean. If you take a look at this $2 bill here, what do you see? Pretty much everyone ever met in my life has seen a $2 bill before. They've held one in their hand, spent it, gave it away, all right? But very few have actually taken the time to focus and actually take a look and see what's going on this $2 bill. Because if you do focus on what's going on here, you'll see that this is a depiction of the 1776 signing of the Declaration of Independence. This is an illustration of the birth of this nation. All right. The 4th of July is coming up here soon, and that's what, lots of people will be celebrating. The independence of the colonists from those who claim to be their lords and masters. All right. So let me show you the power that comes when we focus harder. All right. So on this illustration, and it's an illustration, obviously, because they didn't have cameras available back in 1776, right? So what they would do is they would make illustrations like this one to show what happened. So let me blow this up for you. Let me blow this up so that you can see clearer. Okay. So if you look at this, you see first that obviously, this is a $2 bill, and you see the United States of America. You see In God We Trust. All right. Um, and which is setting the stage for what this is. This is a window into a moment in time which occurred in the United States of America in 1776. All right. And as you can clearly see here, these men are all gathered in a room going about the business of declaring themselves an independent nation. As we can see, they are at the signing table right here, right? But there are actually what appears to be 4 tables in the room in total. So we have one here, we have a table here, we have a table here, and another table here that we can see. Right? You see his elbow is actually on the table. Okay? Now, if we continue to focus on what's happening here, we'll begin to see things that may seem kind of strange to just about probably anyone really looking at this for the first time, because what you'll see doesn't match up with what most of us have been taught to be the truth. See, I was taught growing up that the founding fathers of the USA were all so-called white men, and that pretty much all natives or so-called black men were pretty much all slaves, and or were POWs, right? And definitely weren't in any position of authority, especially to be at this meeting of free men signing the Declaration of Independence, right? But when we focus harder and look at the faces in the room, we see evidence that, the story we've been told isn't quite true. Because as you can see, these men here sitting, these men here, I should say, here, right here, here, right here, these men here, right here, these men here, okay, are all clearly what we know commonly as, white men, right? So-called white men. You can see that clearly by their features and the tone of their skin, right? Okay. But when you come to this man here sitting at this table, his ethnicity is not as clear as theirs is, right? Okay. His skin tone and features actually look a lot more of what we would commonly call, a so-called black man. Okay. And then when we look at this gentleman here sitting at this table, who's, his skin as well, right? His features look different than these gentlemen here. Okay, these gentlemen here. All right, his skin looks a little darker. All right. And then when we look at this gentleman here, right here sitting at this table, his skin is clearly, right? He is the darkest. He has the darkest skin in the room, right? This is clearly a dark-skinned man, right? And then also when we come to back here, right? It's also interesting to see the man here with the hat on, right? And the tie, right? But when we come back here, and if you get you one of these $2 bills, you can see it more clearly than probably what you can see here on the screen. But this man here, who appears to be looking directly at the, if this was shot with a camera, he would be looking directly at the camera. But if you look at him, you can look at his hair. See his hair looks more woolier, and his features, right? This also looks like what we would call today a black man. All right. So point being here is that I will state here that the $2 bill depicts the presence of swarthy, dark-skinned, woolly-haired uh, you know, AKA black men, right? I know some would call them, they would say, they would use the term Moor, all right? But, so-called black men signing at the signing of the Declaration of Independence, okay? Um, so just focusing harder on a common U.S. paper note can be, serve as the gateway to realizing a much deeper level of truth regarding the real history of this nation and its birth. Okay, and if you think about that, if you were to focus harder on pretty much anything in your life, right? Think about what you could discover. Okay, just using the power of your focus. So obviously, for example, dealing with child support. If you were to focus harder on that, I mean, really focus on finding the solution to that problem that's been plaguing you in your life, right? What could you discover? Like, what could you really achieve? Because there's two ways to handle most things in life, and child support most definitely falls into that, right? This includes your finances, your relationships, your business or career, and also your health. You can either handle things preventatively, right? Or you can handle things, um, by triage. Okay, and here's what I mean by that. So if you go the triage route, whatever you're dealing with is going to look more like this. See, triage is a series of actions that are only applied after something bad has already happened. Okay. Triage is for emergency situations, just like you see here. So, you can see the medic here, help using his triage kit to try to help this individual here. They're putting people into ambulances, right? The firefighters are here using the hose to try to put out this explosion, right? This is a bad situation, okay? And they are using triage, right, or emergency measures to try to put the fire out, okay, to try to fix this situation, all right? Um, so, essentially that's what happens when we ignore problems in our life, when we don't, we're not assertive with problems that are looming in our life, right? People, if someone, you're starting to notice that your energy levels aren't right. If you're starting to notice that when you walk upstairs a flight of steps, your breathing is heavier, right? It's more difficult. You see what I'm saying? Like you're your vision gets blurred, right? You're seeing stars just from standing up, right? Like these, it's like signs, right, that you have to ignore that will eventually lead to an emergency situation like a heart attack. You see what I'm saying? Like when if you just focused on what's going on and focused in and on a solution and took action, then an emergency situation could be avoided. You see what I'm saying? Like so, when you ignore, a situation like child support, when you don't do the necessary studying and researching to make the right investments with your time, energy, and yes, money, because remember, child support is essentially a debt collection, right? It's about money. Money someone is claiming you owe due to a contract, all right? Um, that's not the point I'm getting at here, but Child support, when you break it down to the core, is a financial contractual situation. So it's going to take finance, money, and skill with contract law to beat it. Okay. It's going to take effort, time, energy, money, and most of all, focus to defeat it. Okay. So for those of you who think that you're going to find some guru and have a discussion, and that guru is going to give you some magic paperwork that you can fire off, or you're going to pay them a sum of money and they're going to do it all for you, and child support is just going to magically go away, you're delusional. And I'm sorry to say it that way, all right? But, someone has to keep it real and tell you the truth and be straight up with you. All right. Because even myself, like, I've been offered large sums of money on some of these calls to just do it all for, do it all, do all the work and do everything for someone. Right. But the truth is that, if you don't focus harder, get a grip on what's really going on, and take a strategic course of action to deal with, your situation, I can tell you with confidence that it's not going to go away. All right. There's no one that's going to come and save you and do it all for you. All right. You can spend thousands of dollars. I've seen people spend thousands of dollars with attorneys, and that really did nothing for them. Okay. Like, nothing actually really changed in their situation, except that, maybe their payments were reduced or something, or they were able to get a few more, minutes of time with their children. All right. So when you don't, do take that route, get a grip on what's really going on, take a strategic course of action, right? What only happens is that the situation, actually only gets worse. Okay. Until one day you find yourself in a triage situation because of it. Just like there's so many men I've spoken with who have explained their desperate situations to me, and, were somehow expecting me to give them a miracle that they could put forth and get child support handled quick, fast, and easily. All right. And I could only tell them the truth, that there is no quick, fast, and easy remedy to this situation. There is absolutely, a way to defeat it. Right? There's absolutely a way to deal with it. Let me make that abundantly clear here. As a matter of fact, there are various ways to deal with that situation, but what you want to know is the most cost-effective option that's going to get you the best results, right? What you want is a clear comprehension of what will work, why it will work, and the exact steps you can take to make it work for you. Okay. So that's what I offer on these calls. I don't offer a done for you service or some BS magic bullet paperwork that's going to grant you access to some exclusive, political status and make the system tremble before you and all that, right? That's not who I am, and that's not what this is, what this is about. Right? So I'm not going to sell you some dream that's going to either get you nowhere or going to get you in a worse situation than you already are in now, right? Or even, in lockup or something like that. Okay? Because trust me, I've heard stories, people who have spent thousands of dollars, anywhere from, $1,000, $1,500, $3,000 on some paperwork package that they got from some so-called, guru, and that paperwork was really just a joke. Okay? So that's not what this is. All right. So instead, what I'm offering is access to a roadmap to show you a strategy that will get you to where you want to be if you're willing to put in the effort and focus to apply it and get there. Okay, so if that's you, I mean, you've got a couple of options here. After watching the first video that I made for you, you know that child support is unconstitutional and fraudulent. So you can either use your focus and dig in, like I and many others have done, and study and pray and meditate hard and succeed through trial and error, and never give up and go for it with everything you've got. Or you can shortcut all of that and reach out for some help from someone who has already done all of that and can show you a way. All right. I mean, but it's up to you. Okay. And as a matter of fact, what I'm going to do for a limited amount of people, in honor of the idea and goal of independence and freedom, right, is I'm actually going to cut the price of the consultations by 50% starting today. All right. And since this 4th of July marks the 245th year since the signing of the Declaration of Independence, I'm going to honor that price for the first 24 people who booked the call. Okay, so I'll leave the link to do so underneath the description. But whether or not you book a call, the point here is focus up. Focus up, right? You have time. You have time every day, right? If you think you don't have time, you do, right? I mean, you can just take an hour or two a day to dig in and study and seek for and look for the answer, right? That effort and that energy, like, that adds up. Focus up, right? So again, if you watch the first video I put up about child support, again, I just want to stress that you know it's unlawful, fraudulent, and unconstitutional. You know it's been ruled as so by a Supreme Court. You know others have secured victory over child support, so you know you can do it too. It's just a matter of of you being willing to focus harder and get your victory. All right, so that's all for today. Peace.